You know that feeling when an idea shows up and it's just the right mix of exciting and slightly crazy. Like, it shouldn't make sense, but somehow it does. Something in you just says, yes, let's do it. And the idea sticks, and suddenly you're making planned routes through national parks and Google Lightwear gear. Some people let that kind of idea go. They turn it into a story that starts with something like, I once thought about doing this thing, and then it ends with, but it never happened. I refuse to be that person. One of my biggest fears is letting fear decide what dreams that are allowed to happen and which ones that don't. So I gave myself a new challenge, something completely different. I wanted to see what would happen if I took all of those tools I usually teach about behavior, psychology, self-leadership, and tested them out in the wild, like literally. What would trigger me this time? What patterns would show up? You know, when you are tired, lost, in pain, or totally alone. That's why I call this the Trigger Expedition. The plan was to walk alone for 30 days and 350 kilometers through 4 national parks in Norway. Except that's not how it turned out. I had an injury before I even started, in my left shoulder. And after a couple of days, I started to get a lot of pain in both of my feet. The pain was real. And some days, I even cried. When I started this, I thought that my biggest challenge would be feeling alone or overwhelmed or lost in some way. But it turned out to be a much more physical challenge than I had planned. But even so, this was an amazing experience. I laughed a lot and smiled a lot, and I cooked meals in the most beautiful landscapes. I met people I will never forget. We talked about life, grief, burnout, joy. We talked about everything it means to be a human. And of course I walked. Sometimes with others, and sometimes completely alone for hours and hours and hours. But one day I sat at the foot of a mountain, 800 vertical meters ahead, and my whole body said, stop. You need to stop now. But my mind whispered, no, you should keep going. And when I sat there and listened to my own thoughts, I asked myself, what is the reason for you to continue right now? And the first answer that I got, because you said you would. And then I realized, pushing through is one of my strongest triggers. This one I know, that's easy. Maybe it looks like strength to push through, to continue even though it feels hard, but sometimes it's just fear in disguise. So this time I made a different choice. I just stopped. In the end, I walked 18 days and 230 kilometers, 8 to 12 hours of hiking per day, and 6,000 meters of elevation gain. And if I had said that that was the plan from the start, I would have been so proud. So I said to myself, why not now? Because that's what expectations do. They mess with your mind. But once you see that, you get to choose what story you want to tell. And you learn that managing your own expectations is all just a mind game. And if you do, you will always have great adventures. So, the next time someone asks you about your dreams, what do you want to say? I once thought about it, but it never happened. Or, I went for it, and here's the story.